Hey guys, welcome back to another update of my Canadian Dividend Investing Portfolio series. If you're new to the channel, what I'm doing here is I'm just documenting my experience as a dividend investor in Canada, buying and selling stocks on the Toronto Stock Exchange using Wealthsimple Trade as my broker and tracking everything in this custom Google Sheet that I made that helps give me a little bit more information than my broker itself and helps me really understand what's going on inside my portfolio. So in this video, I'm going to just kind of run through the performance of my portfolio lately. As with all of the entire stock market right now, everything is pretty bad, but that's just part of the game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and hopefully in the long term you have more money than when you started. So that's kind of my goal here. And yeah, let's kind of just jump into it. So my stock value is sitting around $72,732. I did make a deposit today, so actually let's go in and log that first, I think. So we'll just pop into the deposits tab and scroll down to the bottom. This is a master list of all deposits that I've ever made in the account. Today I did put in $300. It was in Canadian, and the date was May 12th, 2022. So actually now in the summary page, now it's updated. So this is what I was looking at this morning. I had $325 in cash. Overall, I'm up $1,600, which is 2.32%. And if you've been watching these videos in the past weeks and months, you'll know that I've been up over 10% before, but really, and you'll see in a second when I open up Wealthsimple that the value of a lot of stocks has been dropping, and you can actually see here the total amount of dividends that I've received currently is more than my total gain and loss. So that means basically I've been receiving payments just for holding these companies. These are all of the monthly totals of all of those payments that I've got since I started about 1.5 years ago, or almost 2 years now. And actually, if it wasn't for those, I would be in the red. So thankfully, I have had those dividend payments, which are keeping me afloat. And what I've been doing is every time I get these, this month I took all $186 and reinvested it into more stocks. This month I took all 162 of those dollars and reinvested it into more stocks, and so on and so forth. So at the moment, in this really, really bad time in the stock market, my dividends are what are keeping me alive, and that is that's cool for me to kind of look at, acknowledge, and realize that that's kind of what's going on at the moment. Because the stock values have really dropped off lately, my average yield has actually increased, and that's because most of the companies are still planning to pay out the same amount of dividend as before, but the value of their stock price has gone down. So by comparison, like the percentage, if you divide the dividend by the stock price, that's the yield. So this number appears to be higher because my portfolio value has gone down. But either way, I'm looking at about $3,090 per year in dividend payments, which is about $257 per month. So I'm going to come back to this number at the end of the video and compare it after I show you what stocks I bought today and how that affected my annual dividend income that I'm projecting into the future. So let's take a jump into the portfolio tab here, and we can kind of cruise around and look at all of the individual holdings that I have. Right now I have them sorted here for the biggest gain at the top and the biggest loss at the bottom. Right now at this time, because the red stocks, the ones that are in the negative, are really starting to get more and more prevalent and and strong in the wrong direction. I'm really focusing here not so much on what my biggest positions are, but kind of just keeping an eye on the health of the overall portfolio and trying to track, okay, like what's going on here. I have some crazy losses here down with like Bitfarms looking at almost 50% of a loss. That's pretty sad to see, but who knows? This could actually be a good time to buy in some more. I'm thinking about it. We'll see how that goes. But basically today, when I was really in here looking at companies that I can buy, a couple ones that caught my attention were Power Corporation of Canada. Basically today I was exclusively looking at companies that are in the red. At this point in time, I'm not really interested at all in spending more on companies that are in the green, because they're probably going to come next for the fall off the edge of the cliff. So right now I'm only looking to buy companies, that are in the red, so I can reduce my average price on them and also scoop up dividends for cheaper. So Power Corporation is one of those, down 15%. That's quite a lot. But because they are so low, their yield now is almost 6%. So basically every dollar you spend you're buying like a 6 cent, per year dividend, almost 5.92 cents, whatever, 5.92%, however you want to look at that. So if they ever do bounce back up in the future, I will have bought these dividends pretty cheap, and it will actually affect my yield on cost in the future. I'm not a huge fan of even thinking about yield on cost, but just right now, because everything is really smashed to bits, it is kind of something that's on my mind. And the reason I'm not that into thinking about yield on cost is when the stock market is trending upwards, as it often does, I always think that if I had like a low, even if my yield on cost was high for an individual position, but it's actually yielding a low amount, then I could always just sell that and trade all that money for a higher yielding stock. And so I don't really focus too much on that. But like I said, right now it's kind of, it's becoming a little bit relevant as the markets are going down. And then two of the other ones that I also picked up today were Northwest Health Property. Because their stock price has gone down quite a lot, they're yielding over 6%. And I thought, you know what, like I'm not really at the moment crazy about chasing after anything other than yield, because dividends are, like I said, what's keeping me kind of afloat at the moment. So I figured I might as well just load up on cheap dividends while I can. And I also had here PMZ.UN. This is one of my smallest positions, and also they've kind of pushed over 6%. So I thought, yeah, I'm just going to load up on those guys as well too. So we can actually take a look inside Wealthsimple Trade at my portfolio here, and we're going to see that, yeah, we're up 3% all time. Let's actually go through each of these because it's kind of interesting to look at. In the last day, thankfully, I finally am up like 0%, but I'm up $100 in the last day. Some days in the last week or two, I've just come in here and I'm down like $800 in a day, $600 in a day, and it's like kind of stressful to look at. So it's nice to see at least something going in the upwards direction. But in the last week here, we can see down $4,000 in the last week. That's pretty detrimental. Like imagine if I had just, cashed out everything a week ago and then bought back everything again, all the same stocks, I would have that $4,000 in cash. But of course, you can never predict these things, and you can never actually think that way because you're just going to drive yourself totally crazy. So I actually, looking in retrospect, that would be crazy if I had done that, but of course, you can never predict it. Tomorrow could just fly straight up or fly straight down. Who absolutely knows nothing. In the last month, again, down $7,500 in the last month. That's an extremely large amount of money, but also all of that was unrealized gains anyways. I still am up like, what is it all time? I'm still up almost $2,000. So any of these kind of perceived losses that I'm seeing here, these massive numbers that, if I had a crystal ball and I could have sold and bought back, those are just unrealized gains, and they're not even unrealized losses yet because I'm still in the green overall. In the last month here, we can see it's not as bad, but still like down $4,000. It's about the same as the last week values there. And in the last year, I actually found this interesting. So I'm pretty much breaking even on the last year in my investments, which means that when I look at this all-time gain of $2,000, pretty much all of that is coming from stuff I did more than a year ago, because all of this, from the like 365 days ago till now, the kind of net change is $176. So hopefully that makes sense. Just interesting to kind of pop in always and look at these and just kind of think about what it means for you and which way, the markets in your portfolio are trending. So anyways, in the activity tab, you can kind of just see the purchases that I made. For example, Northwest Health, I bought 9 shares at $12.55. And what I want to do is I want to take in this exact quantity and unit price and bring it back into my spreadsheet. And I'm actually going to pop that into the transactions tab. So we're going to come down here and we can actually just drop them in just one at a time. So it's TSEPMZ.UN. I also bought TSE POW and TSE NWH.UN. So all of these guys were bought on May 12th. About 7, 3, and 9 respectively for these unit prices. And for all of them, I didn't pay any trading fees, and I paid with Canadian dollars for each one. So then what I want to do is I just double check that these are exactly what I expected and match what I have in Wealthsimple Trade. And actually, I just made a typo here. This was the total, but I actually meant to type in the unit price, which was $33.31. That's the total I was expecting. And I did it here as well, 12.55. So actually, it's really good if you're using the spreadsheet to always check this column, because if you input a wrong number here, it's just going to throw off, it's going to cascade through the entire sheet, and it's going to make you think you have more or less money than you actually do. So it is always good to double check that the totals are, what you expect. It's also good to check that these names are what you expect because they're automatically generated. If I had put in something else and this is like a different stock, then it's not going to show up properly in the portfolio tab. So just really take care if you are using the sheet. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. I think the last thing to do is just check the summary tab now. And I wanted to take a look here at the annual dividend income. And if you remember at the beginning of the video, the value was sitting around $3,090, and now we're sitting around $3,108. So that's an increase of about $18 per year, which is pretty awesome to see this number always increasing, even if the value of the stocks is dropping. There's nothing you can do about that. If you want to be in the stock market right now, you've got to deal with this as it's happening. Who knows how far it will go? Who knows what will happen? But at least I can look in here and think, you know, I'm just going to hang on to all these stocks anyways. If they continue to drop, I'm just going to keep buying more at a cheaper price. Hopefully, I am going cautiously and I am really thinking about it. And I'm not just throwing away, throwing in money that I need to use like tomorrow for something else. So there is some thought process that goes into this, but this number here is always increasing as I buy dividend stocks. And especially today, pretty much all of the stocks that I bought had an average yield of around 6%, which in my books, my opinion, is pretty high, and I'm pretty okay with that. And if the markets ever do recover, then the value of the stocks will go up and I'll still have this anyways, which is kind of a bonus. So guys, I've been talking for a long time, just rambling about stuff, but hopefully you found some of that interesting and insightful. If you did, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're buying. Let me know if you're buying stocks. Like I'm here to talk about stocks, and yeah, let's just chat in the comments. So guys, I will see you down there, and I will see you in the next video.